All right, welcome to the weekly training call. This is Jeremy Miner, barely surviving from my surgery that I had last week. Some of you may not know, but my appendix, so we had the training call last Tuesday, and after that training call, about 3 or 4 hours later, I started getting really, really, really sick. Had no idea why. Thought it was the dinner I ate or something like food poisoning. I literally started throwing up everywhere the whole night. Like my side hurt like crazy. I'm like, what is going on? And so finally my wife convinced me Wednesday to check myself in. So I went into urgent care, and they're like, you got to get to the emergency room right away. Got to the emergency room. Appendix started bursting, and they did emergency surgery. So if I sound different, I'm literally still recovering from that surgery, and I'm actually on pain medication as we speak. The surgery is pretty painful. That my appendix was wrapped around my colon, so they had to do some extra cutting down there. So I never really get sick. I probably get sick, maybe the cold, like once every couple of years, and I'm sick for 3 hours. I never go to the hospital, never get sick at all. So this surgery has like wiped my butt out. So I'm actually only probably about 40% healed, but wanted to go ahead and do this call for you guys. Just a real quick intro. If you guys can hear me okay, if somebody will just come out, press *6 on your phone and just say, yeah, Jeremy, we can hear you. So somebody press *6 on your phone.
Yeah, Jeremy, we can hear you. It's Chuck.
All right, Chuck, you're my go-to guy on that. I appreciate it. Okay, so sure. let me mute out the floor here again. Actually, Chuck, just press *6 again to mute yourself. Okay. So we're going to get started. Like I said, my name is Jeremy Miner. I'm going to give you a basic intro to kind of who I am. Now, some of you, a lot of our members on the weekly sales training calls are members of our 8-week Sales Training Academy. That's the full program here. It's about 14 hours, 15 hours worth of my training. That's pretty much everything A to Z. We do have a lot of you on here, though, that are members of the 21-Day Sales Challenge, or you might have bought other products or heard about me from somebody else, or just whatever. So you've enrolled somehow for these weekly training calls that we do for you guys. And these weekly training calls are really to help you wrap your specific product or service into the new model of selling. What I'm actually teaching you here, how to get rid of the old traditional selling techniques and really use what actually works in the era that we live in today. And I will tell you, I've sold both ways. When I first got into sales in 2000, if you know some of my stories, some of you might not, I was taught all the traditional selling methods for several years, and I became quite good at those. I made close to $300,000 a year in my sales career at my job. But once I ran into a few mentors of mine that I actually paid a lot of money to, these two men taught me skills that just went 10 times above and beyond anything I had ever learned in selling. And my income went from about $300,000 a year in sales net income to over $2.4 million a year, if you guys have heard that story. So multiple seven-figure income earner in my sales job. So just to introduce myself, I am the CEO of Seven Figure Sales Training. I am ranked in the top 1% of the top 1% of all salespeople in the world selling anything. And I'm ranked actually, I think 44th or 45th in the world in direct sales out of about 120-some million salespeople, making actually close to $3 million a year in that industry as well. So real quick, what I'm going to do, if you just came on, I just had surgery, appendicitis, last week. It was a surprise. Had to go to the ER. They removed it, kept me in the hospital until late Friday night. And then the last 4 days, I've just been in recovery mode. So what I'm going to do today, because my wife was like, no way, don't do a training call. You're not supposed to do anything. You're supposed to be in bed till Friday. You're not allowed to do anything. The doctor told you not to do anything. But I love you guys too much. I didn't want to have you guys wait a whole another week for me to get on here with you. So instead of doing the normal 45-minute training call that we usually do a 45-minute training call, and then we do another 45 minutes, sometimes even longer, of Q&A, depending on how many questions you guys have. I typically try to keep it to 90 minutes, but since I am recovering for surgery and I am on pain medication right now, which I will tell you does not really help me think very clearly right now, recovering from the surgery, being on these pain meds. I've never taken pain meds in my life, but they make you really loopy. So what we're going to do is we're just going to open up for the next 45 minutes to do a Q&A only today. So we'll do a 45-minute Q&A depending on how many people that we actually have on the live call. I know a lot of you listen to this recorded, but we're going to open it up for a Q&A for the next 45 minutes. Ask me any question that you want, and we'll probably end it at about 4:45 Eastern, somewhere in that range. Because like I said, guys, if you just came on, I'm recovering from surgery, had an emergency surgery last week, so I'm technically not even supposed to be out of bed, but I crawled into the office to do this call for you. And as a lot of you can tell, I've lost my voice here as well. I don't know how that happened. But anyways, so let's go ahead and open up the line. If you have a question for me, and don't worry, this call will be recorded, so you don't have to frantically write everything down. All the training calls are recorded for you guys, Q&A, training call, Q&A, all recorded. So if you've got a question real quick, let's one at a time. Don't try to punch each other to get out to me here, but just press *6 on your phone real quick. And who has the first question for me today? Press *6 on your phone, and I'll start.
Hello, Jeremy.
Question, guys. Yeah, who's this?
This is Brandon Colongo. How are you?
Hey, Brandon. All right, Brandon. What do you sell? What industry are you in?
I sell Herbalife right now.
Okay, so you're network marketing. Okay, good. Yeah. Bear with me, guys. I do apologize. I am on a lot of pain medication right now, so I've noticed because I've had other people call me with stuff the last couple of days, and I'll start to answer something, and I can't even think, and then I'll just forget what I was saying. So if that happens, you got to give me a pass this week, brother. What's your question?
No, definitely appreciate that you're doing this.
Fire away, brother. What's your question?
It was about the MOB that you talk about in the bonus DVD.
Yeah, that's a company that I did a lot of consulting for. I trained all their salespeople, that type of thing. What was your question?
Well, I was curious about using that, and I just wasn't sure like how to go about it or what it does.
Now, tell me again. Are you a member of the 8-Week Academy? What do you have of mine?
I have everything.
You have everything. Okay. So if you go through the 8-Week Academy, you'll notice when I was up on stage in that video calling that lead,
right.
If you've gone through the whole academy, you'll notice that I go structure step by step. Background questions, problem awareness questions, solution questions. Now, those questions would be very specific for your industry because that company that I was training that day is a network marketing company. So I believe we had another member, Jesse Miller, post something the other day about how he copied that script word for word. He used it for the first time. The first person used it on Enrolled. So That is exactly what you would do as from that perspective. But it's the structure of the 8-Week Academy, but in that training DVD, it's probably more specific to your industry.
Oh, okay. Great. Thank you. That answered my question.
Oh, does that answer your question? All right, dude. So you'll have to do some writing out. I know Jesse wrote that out or transcribed it or something. He told me he was messaging me while I was actually in the hospital. I never told him, but I was in the hospital, so I was kind of out of it when I was messaging him back. But from what I understand from him, he copied it down word for word. I'm not sure if he transcribed it or what he did.
Right. Yeah. I just wanted to start using that in my own sales conversations while I'm doing it now. So.
Yeah, for sure. Now, when I was in the network marketing industry like you were several years ago, that would have been the same thing that I would have used. So, I was ranked number 44th in the entire world out of 120 million salespeople in direct sales. So, it obviously works.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Perfect.
Feel better.
Dude, I'm assuming by next week's call I should be 100%. They did say it would take about a 2-week recovery period, but I've noticed I'm getting 5, 7, 8%, 10% better each day. I'm way better today than I was yesterday. Yesterday I didn't even have a voice, which I don't even know how that happened. They did surgery and they're like, you might lose your voice because we stuff all this, all these things down your throat and stuff. And I'm like, okay. So just regaining my voice back, even though I literally haven't even talked for like 5 days. Okay, guys. Thanks, Brandon, for that good question. Now, who's got the next question? Press *6 real quick for me. *6, guys. Who's got the next question? Geez, last week you guys were punching each other to get out here to ask me a question. Who's got the next question, guys? *6 on your phone.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yeah, who's this?
This is Steve Mulder.
Steve. All right, Steve Mulder. Tell me again what you sell, Steve. I think I've answered a question for you before, but I can't remember what you sell.
Yeah, I'm in, merchant processing, POS systems.
Okay, so you sell merchant services. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I'm somewhat
Well,
familiar
the question
with
that I have, the question that I have is, I'm still trying to fine-tune my cold calling script. And
okay. Is that all you do? Is that all you do is cold call?
Yeah, I cold call.
So when you say
primarily
cold call,
face-to-face, but I have been doing on the phone.
So okay, so
let me make sure primarily. I understand.
Okay, so business to business.
Yeah.
Okay, B2B. Okay, that helps me then. Okay, so what was your question on that?
Well, my question is just with the beginning flow, I guess after I say, well, what I do is, then in some parts of the 8-week material, you want to go from, well, what I do is, into I'm curious with the background questions, then into, well, before I go into who I am and all that kind of boring stuff. However, there is a part in... Okay.
And I remember you asked me that on Facebook, and I said we would go over that on the call. Okay, so I did that I did it differently in a couple different places because it depends on the tonality and reaction you're getting back from the prospect. Okay? So if that prospect is like, oh yeah, okay, or like giving you some signals like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, or anything, if they're saying anything back to you, then you can say, for example, I was just curious, who do you use for your merchant processing now? Now, if they're just cold silent, if they're just like dead silent and don't say a word, then you would actually say, and let's do this because I don't want to bore you, but before I go into who we are and what we kind of do, it might be appropriate with your permission if I knew a little bit more about you and who you're currently working with to see if I can even help you in the first place. For example, and then ask a background question. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I do have another question if you don't mind.
Hold on. Let me mute
you can just try both ways.
Let me mute the floor out again, Steve, and then I'm going to have you come back out. Hold on.
Okay. All right, I'm back in.
Okay, Steve, press *6. Just Steve, press *6. We're getting a little bit of background in there.
I'm back in.
Okay, so do you see the difference in that? So if they're giving you signs like verbal signals back like, oh, okay, then you can go in the background. But if they're dead cold silent, you need a little bit more. And it's very important at the very end of that where you say, to see if I can even help you because I'm not sure I could yet. That way you take out the sales pressure where you detach yourself like, I really don't know if I can help you. You're asking them to see if you can ask them questions because you honestly don't know if you can help them without asking those questions, right?
Yes, exactly.
You see how that works?
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense too. That seems like. Well, my next question is if I get a positive response and I ask the background questions, I would go on to this, and this is, I think in the week 3 you said, well, before I go into who I am. But I also saw in there that I think I almost like a little better, and it just goes right into, well, now I'm not actually sure that I can even help you just yet, and it may be appropriate if we ask each other a few questions. Are those kind of interchangeable? I mean, because
those are interchangeable depending on, how cold of a call it is. I mean, I wanted to give you guys different examples because there's a few different ways you can do that. And that's exactly why we have these training calls, Steve, because without you asking me that question on this training call, you might just be out there like, I don't know why, but which one do I use? Like, this is why we have these training calls to really tie it in.
Yes.
So I gave those different examples because, like I said, it depends on the tonality of that person. It might depend on your product or service, and it might depend on what type of cold call you're actually making. Is it a phone call? Is it person to person? There's a few differences there.
Right.
If it's person to person like you are, Steve, and I don't want to cut you off, but if it's person to person and they're kind of nodding at you or giving you verbal signs, then you would say, maybe if I could ask, who do you use for your processing now? Because you're looking at them, right? You can see by their body language. So yours is a little bit different. With yours, I'd probably use more of going into the background question more because, you can see them, right? On the phone, you can't see them at all, and if they're not saying anything back, then you'd probably
then you don't know. Yeah. Now, one other kind of add-on question onto that phrase. Since I primarily walk in and I guess primarily I try to set an appointment at a later date, and I would be doing the same thing on the phone. Obviously, if I called them, I'm trying to get an appointment with them. What do you think about this phrase? If I just kind of went into, now I'm not actually sure that I can even help you just yet, and it might be appropriate if we asked each other a few questions and found out if our program would even work for your business. Would you have a few minutes now, or would it be better for you if I stopped in later this week? What do you think about that last sentence?
Let's relanguage it. I like the idea. Let's relanguage it a little bit. You can say something like, and before I go into who we are and what we do, it might be appropriate if we asked each other a few questions to find out if what we do here could even work for you. Would it be appropriate to go through a few of those questions now, or how would you like to proceed? Typically, what I would do, I wouldn't try to set the appointment right then and there. I would try to ask a few more questions. Just to kind of engage them a little bit. I wouldn't be like, ask a few questions and try to set up an appointment right then and there because there's still, there's a little bit of connection, but not much, right? So you can say, for example, who do you guys use for your processing now? And, and they tell you, and how long have you been with that company? And I'm curious, you've been with them for 2 years. What got you involved in using that company? Well, we've been doing blah, blah. So do you like the company you're with? I would ask some problem awareness questions, even a few solution questions. And what will happen, Steve, is you'll notice, unless they're at the counter of a register and people are coming up to pay, is that a lot of times the owner will be like, once they're so engaged with you, they'll change their schedule to meet with you. They'll tell somebody to go handle this and come back to my office now. Let's talk about this because they've never been approached by a person like you, like a salesperson like you, right? They're used to the pitch. And they try to get rid of them. So when you're asking them some questions that are only focusing on them and their world and what their problems are, without bringing up your solution at all, you will find people completely treat you differently, So they'll rearrange your schedule to meet right then and there. So I wouldn't necessarily try to set up that appointment so soon. I would ask some background questions, some problem awareness, some solution, and then if they're busy or you see them kind of fidgeting around, then you might say, it looks like you're busy. Would it be appropriate to set up a time on our calendars? So this is what you want to do. It's called like a calendar time. So instead of you just stopping by again, don't do that because people won't keep those appointments. So what you could say is, it might be appropriate. I know that you're busy here. You've got some customers. Would it be appropriate to set up another time on both of our calendars in the next few days to see if what we're doing here could possibly work for your business or could possibly work for you? And there's some, I believe in week 7 or week 8. I can't remember which week it is. I think it's maybe 6, 7, or 8. You'll have to look there. There's some phrases on turning negative languaging into more neutral languaging. And I think I give a few examples. I think it actually might be in 7 or 8. I give a few examples of how the average salesperson does that, trying to, push an appointment, whereas you're basically doing the same thing, but you're asking it in a neutral way that allows them to be like, well, of course I'd be open to meeting you this week about this, right?
Gotcha.
But you want to ask some questions first, take them through the process where they feel that pain first before you try to set up an appointment, or the likelihood of them being there at that appointment is not going to be as likely.
Okay. Yeah, that was some
what you could
stuff.
say with the calendar statement, so Steve, kind of throw this in here just as a bonus. With the calendar statement, you could say something like, would it be appropriate for us to set up a time this week to see if what we're doing here might possibly work for your situation? And if they say yeah, then you can say, okay, maybe we could both get our calendars out to possibly work on a calendar relationship. That way, I get pretty busy. That way you're not trying to chase me down and I'm not trying to chase you down. Would it be appropriate to get our calendars out to see if there might be an appropriate time where I can even be available for you? So you want to make yourself more exclusive, right? You don't want to be like,
gotcha.
If they say, I come by Thursday at 9 o'clock, you don't want to say, okay, I'll come by Thursday at 9 o'clock. You'd be like, yeah, I'm probably not available because I have a family to take care of, but I am available more later this week, like maybe Thursday, Friday. What does your calendar look like Thursday or Friday, just to see if I'm going to be available for you? And when you talk like that, don't do it in a mean way, but just in a very real way, what's your calendar look like for Thursday or Friday, just to see if I'll even be available for you. And people will be like, wow, this guy must have a lot of options. He must not really, you're detached from it. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay. When you do that, people will be like, well, okay, and they'll fit you in. It's just, they'll treat you, you're establishing yourself as the trusted authority rather than just another salesperson who's there trying to sell them something. And so because of that, they treat you in a different way. There's more respect for you, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it does.
Cool. Does that help you?
Well, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
I can't believe I spit all that information out on these pain meds. Yeah, I will. I'll be fine by next
that was some pretty good stuff, actually.
All right, good. Sometimes I surprise myself. Okay, guys, who's got the next question? *6. We still got about 20, 25 minutes worth of Q&A here. So who's got the next question? Press *6 on your phone, *6. *6, guys, who's got the next question? Don't be shy.
Hey, Jeremy, this is Justin Eichenberry. How's it going?
Is this Justin, did you say?
Yeah, Justin Eichenberry. How are you?
Hey, Justin, what do you sell?
Well, actually, you know what? I am in computer software, and we sell it's a software application that works within Salesforce.com, pretty much making that CRM better, more sales-focused. But it provides tools to help sales teams through the funnel faster and more effectively.
Yeah, I'm somewhat familiar with your industry, actually. All right, so good. What's your question, brother?
Well, actually, you know what? I am an account manager here, and I know that's a totally different thing, but since we're kind of in the cold calling after I just heard the gentleman you just spoke with, sometimes I'll have to put that hat on. We're a little bit behind, as you probably know, or, the BDR team's not pushing out as much leads as they need to. It's like, hey, we need some backup. And, sometimes I'll put that hat on cold call. My question is that sometimes when you get somebody on the phone, you can't even get to the point. And I'm doing your weekly sales training calls, which is it's helpful. Sometimes when you get somebody on the phone and they go, hey, what's this all about? And hey, this is what I'm trying to do and trying to help you. Even then, in a relaxed tone and things like that, they automatically put up that guard. Even then, they'll put up that guard and go, I don't think we're looking at something like this. Or if you get a gatekeeper and you explain yourself, they'll answer for him. They'll go, we're not looking, or he's not looking into something like that. How would you overcome that objection to get through?
Okay, so quick question.
Sure.
What products of mine do you actually have?
Say that again?
What products of mine do you actually have and have gone through?
I have gone through just the basic. I pay the $1 to get up front, and I have your, the 7 or the 21 day, and right now I'm trying out,
Okay. No wonder you're asking me that question. Yeah, okay, so let me make sure you specify. So the 21-day sales challenge, it is good, but it's a very basic intro to my training. It's like 3%, okay?
Okay.
So I think in week 6, 7, or 8, I think I do a very small training on cold calling, maybe 5 minutes or something. If you're a member, hopefully one day you can get the product, but if you're a member of the 8-week academy in week 3, week 3 is a 2-hour training on cold calling leads, everything A to Z in that department. So to answer your question, we're going to have to keep it kind of short because literally I would have to retrain you on what you're doing because I'm assuming tell me how you start a cold call and I can kind of break it down, why it's breaking down for you very quickly.
Okay, sure. Well, I'll keep it short, like you said. It would depend if I'm talking to a gatekeeper or if I'm talking to a decision maker.
No, just anybody. Let's say you call and you get the gatekeeper. What would you say to the gatekeeper?
Sure. Janet, this is Justin calling you from Intelliverse, my company here in Atlanta. I realize that you're probably familiar that this call is unannounced, but my executive team handed me down ABC Company as a key target account to go after with a solution I think, or I believe, would be a good fit for the organization. I'm just looking to speak with the right person for a few minutes to see if that would be the case and if we could actually be a good fit for your sales organization there.
Can I make a suggestion?
Of course.
What you just said, who is that more focused on, you and your agenda, your solution, or is it more focused on them and their problems?
Definitely mine, but wouldn't they be more focused on me at that point because I'm calling them and trying to figure out why I'm calling?
Yeah, so you're focusing only on you and your solution. Let me ask you this question. What do you think most gatekeepers are used to salespeople calling and doing, focusing on them and their solution or their problems? What do you think most salespeople call with?
Their solution.
Correct. 100% of the time, 99.9% of the time. And then typically by the time you get to where I cut you off, what does a gatekeeper usually say to you?
Normally they're either open or the other half of the time they're, we're not interested in that, or, he's not in right now or something like that.
So it's the typical cold call training. Hi, my name is, I'm with XYZ company, and we do, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, and that's what most salespeople are taught. The only problem is that you have to understand the boss there of that gatekeeper has trained that gatekeeper to shield them from what?
People like me.
Exactly right. So they already have their guards up. So as soon as you go into what your solution is and how you're from this company and we're targeting you as a key account, what do you think is going on in the mind of the gatekeeper? What they've been trained. Here's another one of the, average sales Joes. I need to get rid of this guy, right? So
right.
They come up with excuses. He's not in. He might be right there breathing down their neck. You have no idea. So first of all, I want to make sure you understand this is the reason why you're getting the reaction, okay?
Right.
Now, how would you call, let's say the business owner picked up. What would you say to the business owner?
More aligned somewhat of the same thing. I would reward it a little bit differently since I know if that's the case, if they are the decision maker. It'd be more like, Jim, this is Justin with Intelliverse. I want to introduce myself. I've done some mild research on your company, and I believe I may have a solution to help you with the problems you may be having with your CRM, but I'm not quite sure if that's the case. So I want to see if you had a moment.
Okay, yeah, because you don't really know if they have any problems, right?
Sure.
Okay. So when you say, we have a solution that I know can solve your problems, in their mind, what do you think they're thinking?
How do you know if I have any problems to begin with?
Yeah, because you're only focused on you and your solution. And I'm not saying anything to downgrade you or anything. It's I was taught the same way how to sell 15 years ago, right?
Right.
And it worked, the first couple of years. Just the problem in our economy today, in the era we live in today, is people have been bombarded, and they're still bombarded by salespeople saying exactly the same thing you're saying every single day from 15 different companies. So they don't even know what you're saying. That you could be selling toilet bowl cleaner. They have no idea. It's going in one ear, out the other. Does that make sense?
Right.
That's why most of these calls probably don't lead to sales, right?
Sure.
So, so I'm just kind of reshaping your mind to think that here's the reason why they're coming up with these. They're saying what they're saying to you because you're triggering sales resistance by saying the same thing every salesperson says, focusing on your solution. So what we do, like I said, you're going to have to, like I said, it'd be like a full 45-minute training on cold calling I'd have to do for you right now.
Right.
But if you go back to one of the 21-Day Sales Challenge videos, we talk a little bit about cold calling. I think it might be week 6 or video 6, 7, or 8.
Okay.
Hopefully you can get the 8-week academy one day. That's the product that's 14 or 15 hours worth of training. And in week 3, we have a 2-hour training on cold calling scripted out. So what you have to come up with, and I'll give you kind of a few things right now before we answer somebody else's questions, but what you have to come up with is what we call a problem statement. Okay? When you're calling, you're only focused on their problems, not even bringing up your solution, okay? Because do you think those people are more interested in their problems and what they're looking for, or more interested in what in your solution? And
definitely their problems.
Exactly, okay? So the way we start off cold calls here, and like I said, we'd have to train you on this, or you'd have to really go through the 8-week academy to get the gist of it. I wouldn't suggest just, hearing me for 5 minutes and you completely change what
you're
doing.
Sure. No, I'm just trying
to everything that I'm going to train you. Yeah, but I'm just going to give you a few tidbits. Okay. So you would want to start off a cold call with, hi, this is Justin. I was wondering if you could possibly help me out for a moment. And then either the gatekeeper or the business owner will say, sure, how can I help you? I would say they'll do that 95% of the time. So, hi, this is Justin. I was wondering if you could possibly help me out for a moment. And do it in that way, very relaxed, low-key, like you're having a conversation with your best friend. You're not trying to pitch them, right? Because when you have that pitchy voice, you just automatically set off the bells, okay?
Okay.
So, hi, this is Jeremy. I was wondering if you could help me out for a moment. When you say that, most of those people are going to say, sure, how can I help you? It's just a natural, normal human reaction. Okay, if somebody comes up to your office and knocks on your door and say, hey, could you help me out for a second? You're going to say, sure, how can I help you, right? Just the way it is. And then you're going to have what's called a problem, what we call here in the new model of selling, what's called a problem statement, okay? And that's where you list one or two problems that your clients have that you know your solution solves. Okay. Now, you're not going to talk about your solutions yet. You're only asking them to see if they have those problems, and if they do, finding out if what you do can actually help them. Okay? So let me give you an example. Let's say, and I don't know, like I said, your specific industry, you'd have to come up with some problems for what you have, but you'd start off with, when they say, sure, how can I help you? You would say something like, well, I'm not sure if you could, but I was calling to see if you would be open to looking at any possible hidden gaps in your XYZ or whatever that's possibly causing your company to lose sales.
Okay.
Let me repeat that, okay? And like I said, this is the 2-hour training that we have in week 3, so hopefully you can get your hands on it one day. But I'm just, when they say, sure, how can I help you? Well, I'm not sure if you could. So you have to detach yourself. Well, I'm not sure if you could, but I was calling to see if you would be open. Or let's say you're talking to the gatekeeper. I was calling to see if your company would be open to looking at any possible hidden gaps in your whatever that is. I don't know your product or service, right, or what your solution solves, that might be causing your company to lose sales. Now, when you say that, most of the gatekeepers will be like, well, sure, what do you mean by that? Or, I'm not the right person to talk to. Let me transfer over to somebody that would. You're going to get a few different reactions, okay? And then you're going to go into what we call your personalized introduction, where you tell them how what you do helps other people, okay? Let me repeat that. You tell them how what you do helps other people, okay?
Gotcha.
And I think we do a little bit of the problem. We do a little bit of the personalized introduction, I think, in video 5 or 6. And like I said, in week 3 of the Academy, it's a full 2-hour training, okay?
Gotcha.
And does that help you a little bit? I know you don't have all the products, so you're kind of at a disadvantage compared to a lot of these members, but
does
that help you a bit?
No, it did help me. Yeah, it definitely made me look at it in a different perspective in terms of, it's how easy we are to talk about me, I, and how I need to kind of train myself to get away from that.
Yeah, nobody cares about us, right? They only care about who, right?
It's true.
They only care about themselves, right? So when we dive in and focus on their problems, they become a lot more open to what you have to offer, right?
Right.
But if the number one reason that salespeople get objection and rejection is because they bring up their solution far too early in the conversation, and they haven't even found out if that person has problems. And more importantly than finding out those problems, what caused those problems, like to go deeper, right? And then how those problems are affecting them emotionally. So once you learn those skills, and that's really where the 8-week Academy takes you to a whole different level. Once you learn how to go deeper in those conversations by the specific questions I teach you how to ask throughout the 8-week Academy, that's when people really open up and they bring out all their emotions to you and how it's affecting them and the stress they feel, and they can't feed their family next. I mean, you're going to hear a lot of that. And because pretty much 99.9% of salespeople only get the facts, what I teach you is how to get the facts, but most importantly, how to get the emotions. Because people base their buying decisions on what?
Emotions.
Their emotions, and they only justify it with logic, not the other way around. Logic counts for like a 0.5% of them making a decision. It's all emotion. Most salespeople don't go deep enough, number one, because they don't have the training that teaches them how to go deep enough. They don't have the right questions and when to ask those right questions at the right time in the conversation for the prospect to even open up to them. So that's the 8-Week Academy really gets it really specifies and goes deep into those conversations and gives you the specific questions at each of the stages of the new model of selling to ask, to allow that person to persuade themselves, close themselves, rather than you trying to chase them and close them yourself. It's just a whole different level.
Makes sense.
Hopefully I didn't bore you to death.
No, absolutely not. No, I actually really appreciate your time, and I appreciate you going in depth on that. And I hope you feel better and don't have too much fun.
Yeah, no worries. I'll be fine by next week's calls, guys. I mean, I should be 100% by next Tuesday, so I wouldn't worry. But I'm about 40, 50% now. So hopefully, hopefully whatever I'm saying to you guys makes sense today, because I'm on some type of pain medication that just makes me loopy. I've never taken pain meds before. It's crazy. These should be banned.
All right.
I can see how people get addicted to them. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate it.
All right, Justin. Glad to have you on board. Okay, guys, who's got the next question? We still got about 10 minutes. Star 6 on your phone to ask me the next question. Star 6 on your phone. Who's got the next question, guys? That was a really good question Justin had.
Thank you.
No problem, Justin. All right, Star 6, guys, on your phone. Who's got the next question? Star 6.
Am I still on?
Yeah, who's this?
This is Steve again. If no one has any questions, I do have one other
Dude, if nobody's got any other questions, hop in, brother. There's no
okay.
If everybody's silent, man, hop in.
All righty. Well, my question is this. I offer, I guess, several products and services. I've got merchant services that I can focus on, finding areas of lost revenue in their card processing. I've got the new EMV chip card reader equipment that I could bring up. I also have POS systems that I could speak about. And
what's a POS?
I'm wondering if you would, like a touch screen, more kind of like an advanced, like a computer system that has reports on what you're selling and does a time clock for your employees. It's like a cash register as well.
Like data management. So like a data management.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, makes sense.
So, but sometimes I get a little confused on how I should approach. If I should approach on all of these items at once, somehow, try to script it out where I could kind of hint at all the items at once, or should I just focus on one and then maybe bring up the other items through questioning?
I would start off with the most powerful one. That's the most profitable for you. That's going to help the most people. I would start off with the most powerful one because you can't really craft a problem statement that just focuses on one or two problems into like 6 different products that you sell, right? So I would focus on, and there might be a way to do that. It's just going to take some planning and thinking on your part. I'm not saying that you can't.
Yeah, I'm pretty close to it, I think, but it's getting a little wordy on my what I do section of my script.
You don't want to get too wordy.
But
if you get too wordy, it sounds like a sales pitch or something like that. So you want to keep it very focused, very tight. And then when you're throughout the conversation, you can ask other questions like, "Oh, I'm just curious. Do you guys have some type of data management system you use?" And just same thing. If they say, "Yeah, we do."
Yes.
Oh, who do you use? So you say the same thing. You just got to bring it up during the conversation.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, that
really
makes
what
sense.
You want to focus on. I would focus on the most profitable thing for your business, and then at the end of that thing, you can also bring up. Now, do you guys use the data management system to track? Yeah, we do. We use XYZ company. Oh, how long have you been with them? Oh, do you like that? Do you like that system you're using? What do you like about it? And it's the same thing. That's what I would do.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
That help you out? All right, brother. All right, guy. Who's got the next question? Star 6 on the phone. Who's got the next question? Star 6.
Hi, Jeremy. This is Talia Schneider. Can you hear me?
Sorry, you cut out a little bit. Did you say Talia?
Talia, like Italia.
Italia. Oh, interesting.
Talia, yeah. Like Talia Shire. Many things, but for the purpose of this call, I would focus on the innovative recruitment platform that I help market.
Okay, so let me get this straight. So it's an innovative what?
Recruitment platform. It's a recruitment solution.
Okay, so do you work with a staffing agency, or what do you mean?
Yeah, for many years I worked as an outside recruiter, and a talent acquisition specialist, helping to find the right talent for their corporate needs. And right now, yeah, thank you. And right now I'm actually working with a really cool, innovative techie company from Brazil penetrating into the U.S. market, and they have this really innovative, futuristic, cutting-edge solution allowing companies, especially HR directors and managers, to recruit passive candidates at will, just by tapping into a ready-to-be-hired database.
So are you selling like a software that allows them to do that, or actually going out and recruiting people?
It's an actual platform. So what they do, it doesn't cost them anything to join. They only pay us a placement fee if they get to hire one of the passive candidates from our platform.
Perfect. What's your question?
So I really work LinkedIn a lot since I found it to be a very effective professional tool when it comes to social media. So I like to work with warm leads already, people who are my contacts. They know about me a little bit, or maybe just connected to me. So my question was, how would you open a first-time call to a warm lead on LinkedIn, introducing your whatever solution it is, inviting them to join or take a look at it while differentiating yourself?
First of all, what products of mine do you have, and what have you gone through?
So back to that particular recruitment solution, it's a tool which allows...
What products of mine do you have? Like, are you a member of the 21-Day Sales Challenge, 8-Week Academy? What do you have?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I did the 21-Day Sales Challenge.
You're only a 21-Day Sales Challenge. Okay, so let me make sure you guys understand. If you're only a member of the 21-Day Sales Challenge, that is a very basic introduction to my training. It's probably less than 3%, if that. Just a very basic intro. So when you're asking me, most of the members on here are 8-Week Academy members, but I did open it up to the 21-Day Sales Challenge members as well. So basically the question you asked me, just like the gentleman before, or not Steve, but Justin, in week 3, we have a 2-hour training of the 8-Week Academy, a 2-hour training on calling leads, connecting questions, background questions, all of those questions that you would open up when you're actually calling a lead. So when you're on LinkedIn, are you calling leads? Are you messaging? What are you doing?
First, I communicate with them online via, whether an email or just a little note, and then I would typically pick up the phone and have a phone conversation with them.
Okay, so like I said, I can't really train you on how to call leads right now because that's going to be another 45 minutes
right.
to 2 hours, but I'm going to give you a few maybe some things that you can do, and then hopefully you can become a member of the 8-Week Academy because that's...
I will. That's my plan. Yeah.
So, and I'm glad to hear, and that's why I opened up the weekly sales training calls for all of you guys as well to help you guys. So as far as you calling back a lead, they've already expressed some interest through the messaging back and forth, right? So when you're calling them back, go ahead.
Not necessarily. My question was, how do you really differentiate yourself from all the noise of other people approaching the same person for other services through LinkedIn? Because I'm not quite sure that it is a warm lead as such, just because they are on your contacts list.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand what you're asking me, okay? So if you're messaging the person back and forth, and then you pick up the phone to call them, do they know that you're calling, or are you just randomly picking up the phone and calling?
Sometimes they do if there is a dialogue and I send a note and they reply back and they say, sure, let's talk. But sometimes, when you don't hear from them, I just take the initiative.
There's two separate questions. So there's two separate questions there. So let's talk about the first one. You're having a dialogue. They know that you're going to call them. Let's talk about that first because they're completely different stories there. Okay?
Sure.
So when you call people back, you want to use what we call connecting questions. And like I said, connecting questions are taught in week 3 of the Academy, specific connecting questions. I'm going to give you a couple, okay, just right now because we're already at the time that we were going to allocate for the call, okay? So when you call back the person, you would start off by asking a connecting question. Let's say the person's name is Julie. Hey, Julie, this is, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Tell me again.
Talia, like Italia. Talia. Yeah.
I always want to say Natalia. My wife has a niece named or a sister named Natalia, so that just comes to my mind. So, hey, Julie, this is Talia. We just, we were kind of messaging each other back and forth on LinkedIn. We were kind of talking about, you had mentioned, and I don't know what you guys were talking back and forth about. So I'm kind of at a disadvantage to answer this question for you, but I'll do my best, okay? So you had mentioned in our conversation that you were possibly, possibly interested in, XYZ software or whatever, and I was calling you back to see if I could possibly help you. And then they're like, okay, yeah, sure. Okay, so I wanted to start off by asking you, have you found what you're looking for, or are you still looking for XYZ, your solution? Okay, so you want to find out first and foremost, if they found already what you sell, what your solution is, or if they're still looking for it, right? Probably because you've had a dialogue, you probably know that they're still looking for something like that. Okay, and like I said, this is really hard for me to answer because I don't have hardly any details from you, but I'll do my best.
Sure.
And then when they say, yeah, I'm still looking, you want to ask this connecting question. So I was just curious, what was it about the conversation we had through LinkedIn that attracted your attention? So I was just curious, what was it about the conversation we had on LinkedIn that attracted your attention? Now, they're going to tell you, but more importantly, who are they telling?
Themselves, yeah.
Right? And that is the first part of them persuading themselves, okay? And they're going to say, well, I like this, or I was thinking about this, or they might even say, well, I was just curious more than anything, okay? Something like that. You could get some various responses. Then you might say, if they say what attracted to them, like they might say, well, I like this or I like that. Anything else that attracted your attention? Because a lot of times they'll give you something else that attracted your attention, okay? So those are 3 basic connecting questions that you would probably want to use to open up that conversation. And then you go into what we call background or situation questions, which those are also taught in week 3 of the 8-week Academy, okay? Like I said, we're over time, but I just wanted to give you a little bit there. Hopefully that helped you with your question. But like I said, I don't have enough info from what you're doing for me to really specify that to your product or service, but hopefully you can get the 8-week Academy one day so you can kind of learn everything, if that makes sense.
Oh, well, I'll do it probably this month sometime. So, yeah, it's on the list. Yes, I will. I intend to do this month. Yeah, I will be joining this month, yeah.
Yeah, no worries, sister. No, we're grateful to have you guys on the calls. 21-Day Sales Challenge members, we got members that have other products as well. But I will tell you, having the 8-week Academy, and you can ask anybody on the Facebook threads their opinion, but it's just a different level it takes you to. The 21-Day Sales Challenge it's just a basic intro. It will help you for sure, and I get a lot of feedback from people that have gone through that, like, wow, I'm making more sales, blah, 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 blah. But to get to the next level, you're going to have to understand, everything, if that makes sense. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Talia, I appreciate your question. That was a good
thank you. Thank you.
All right, everybody. That's going to go ahead and conclude our call today. Like I said, we're only having a 45-minute Q&A today. I did have surgery last week, so you're going to have to bear with me. I've had emergency appendix removal, so I'm actually still recovering. I'm not even supposed to be working at all, but I had to get in here to help you guys out. I didn't want to have you guys wait for a week. Now, the training call next week, we're going to go ahead and keep it next Tuesday as well. Training calls will always be Mondays or Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, but I'll always let you know at least a week in advance when the training call will actually be. So training call will be next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern as well. So write that down. Next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 Central, 2 Mountain, 1 Pacific Standard. If you're in Australia, that's 7 in the morning on Wednesdays if you're in Sydney time zone. And if you're over in the UK, Paris, those areas, I think that's 9 o'clock at night your time. If you're in Eastern Europe, that's 10 o'clock at night your time on Tuesday. So with that, guys, this call will be recorded. If you need to go back and take notes for anything we went over today, everybody have a great day, and I'm grateful for the opportunity that I had to be on here with you guys today to give you some training. Okay, everybody, call's a wrap. We'll see everybody next Tuesday. Thank you.